All right, now Eggtoberfest is not complete without the full egg family. We got Papa Egg, Mama Egg, and we even got Junior. We're about to kick it out to Petaluma, California with Lagunitas Brewery, with Team Green member Tyler and brew monster Jeremy, brewing up some amazing beer and delicious food. Take it away, guys.
Is that?
Mentink.
Oh.
Mentink.
So there's
not supposed to be an L, and the I is supposed to go before the
you guys butchered his last name. So I am Jeremy Marshall, brew monster of Lagunitas Brewing Company.
I'm Tyler Mentink, Big Green Egg influencer, Instagram at Tyler Plays the Fire.
I think of myself as a yeast influencer. You're like a real chef. You cook for people that talk back.
But you have way more followers if you're all those millions of yeast.
Oh, millions. And you know what happens that they can do? They bud overnight, so they can go from like 10 million cells to 80 million cells in a matter of hours. Does it work that way with your followers?
Not at all.
So we made it through our name.
Yep.
Where the hell are we? By the looks of things, I'm going to say that we are in Petaluma, California at the Lagunitas Brewing Company, standing out in the beautiful beer garden.
So we're here for the 2020 Eggtoberfest, almost live Eggtoberfest.
How long has Eggtoberfest been going on?
I think we're on 23 years now.
23 years? That's longer than how long has the egg been around? You said 3,000 years.
Yeah.
So
23 years.
That's before the patent office existed.
We're gonna cook some pork belly burn-in tacos, paired with some beer. We're gonna do some reverse seared giant ribeyes.
Giant.
Chef David Rood he had pretty cute ribeyes earlier today. We got the whole cow. And then we'll be doing a Thai-inspired pizza on the egg this afternoon to wrap it up. We have some heritage pork belly from Pine Street Market. Friend of Big Green Egg, Dusty Bowers, sent this to us. This is very good, very, very old school pork. We're gonna be slicing it up into cubes, seasoning it with some delicious rib rubs from my friends at Naturific. We're doing about inch to inch and a half size cubes. And we're gonna let it smoke for about 2.5 hours and really let that fat start to render down. And after about 2 hours, we're gonna take it and kind of turn it into pork candy. And we're gonna toss it with some local honey, some brown sugar, some more seasoning, we're gonna put some of that little something in that braising, and we're gonna braise it for about another hour. And during that time, it's really gonna let the fat fully break down. It's gonna let all that flavor really mix in together, and then we're gonna toss it in our little something barbecue glaze. And during that glazing process, it's just gonna turn into absolutely delicious pork candy that puts off a really, really good flavor. And you wanna make sure that these cubes are nice and evenly seasoned. Any seasoning, any pork seasoning, your favorite pork seasoning will work great. Got the egg. Grills at about 275-ish. But we're gonna come over here, and you wanna evenly place these on the egg. You want them close because you're gonna take up a lot of space here, but you wanna make sure that there's space around each meat cube, each little pillow of pork deliciousness to let the smoke move around, do its job, do its dance. So during this process, about every half hour, we're going to be spritzing this with some apple cider vinegar. What the apple cider vinegar will do is it kind of helps dry out that surface, create a nice little bark on it that we want. 2, the apple cider will help with the coloring. And 3, apple cider vinegar, really vinegars in general, as you spritz it, as it dries, it will dry a little bit bitter, and it almost creates like an all-natural MSG effect where it starts to break down the meat a little bit, and as you bite into it, it body digests it, and it just helps the flavor across the board. So we got this stuff going. If you start spritzing now, you'll actually start blasting off all that rub. You really want the rub to kind of adhere to it. So cook for about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes total up front before we braise it. That's how we get the pork belly burn-ins going.
I think you are spot on with something about the little something, is that it has 50% of its grain bills from wheat, and that completely changes the texture of the beer and gives it, like you said, a little bit more of like some some strong quads to stand on. Like if that beer could do squat.
I wonder when he's letting us start using freaking Budget Kid Rock here.
Good choice.
Yeah, because when we do the little something glaze, so we came up with a recipe that you could essentially put your favorite barbecue sauce in. The barbecue sauce we'll be using is a garlic sriracha barbecue sauce. We'll be adding some apple cider vinegar and some brown sugar. So, especially if you have a bolder sauce, if you use a lighter beer, it'll just disappear. And we wanted something that would actually hold over that flavor in there.
So that wheat gives that like strong pillar that lets it stand up against that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wait, we're way off topic.
We are way off topic.
Way off, way off. Oh, I think this is a natural transition to how we make our beer. So we use no nuclear technology. They always say, that looks like a big old vat of oatmeal. I'm from the South, so I definitely appreciate things like grits. But then we go and we do something crazy to that sweet wort. Why does this taste like a campfire? The most bitter beer here is going to be the little something. IPA's in the middle. Hazy Wonder is the least bitter. And then we package it into bottles or cans or kegs.
Beautiful.
And that's the story of beer.
Beautiful. All right.
So Tyler, don't take this the wrong way, but for no particular reason at all, I don't eat pork or ribs. I know it's my loss. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my stunt buds. Brian Donaldson.
Stunt taste buds. That's a dangerous job.
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
But you tell me how it tastes, and I'll form a mental image of what I'm missing.
Perfect. I can do that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So when it's ready, stunt buds,
I'm in.
Stunt buds.
he's in.
He's missing out. All right, Brian. So we're gonna be doing these two beautiful, gorgeous Tomahawk ribeyes from Snake River Farms. So this is, when we say a steak, this is a steak. It's more of a prime rib on a stick.
That sounds fantastic.
These are absolutely some of the most beautiful ribeyes I've ever seen in my life. We're gonna be doing ribeyes two ways. First, we're using Spiceology rubs on both of these. First one, we're using their Cowboy Crust. It's a special chili rub. Thick as this is, we can go a little bit on the thicker side.
What does espresso bring to the table as far as flavor?
It's a very unique flavor in this, the espresso grounds, especially the chili. It's more than just that offsetting the beef flavor with salt and pepper. A lot of times when you have really, really, really thick cuts like this, you really need a rub that has a little bit more horsepower, a little more oomph to kind of cut into that meat.
Right. Well, yeah, when you cut that steak right, you're gonna get a cross section that's a lot of meat, just a little bit of crust. So having a heavy flavor on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something you should take in consideration with pretty much anything you're cooking, is when you go to cut this, you'll have a couple cuts on the side that have rub and exterior, but in the middle, you're gonna have a little thin strip of seasoning and a lot of meat in the middle. So you kind of want to take that in consideration when you're picking your rub, when you're picking how much rub you're gonna put on, is you want something that is really gonna hold up to the amount of meat you're kind of putting behind it.
That makes sense.
So on this guy, we got the espresso rub, the chimichurri fresh sauce. This guy, we're using a Cajun blackening rub. It's their Black Magic. And we're gonna actually finish this guy off with some local Point Reyes blue cheese.
Oh, right on.
Because, I mean, blue cheese.
Cheese and beer love each other.
Cheese, beer love each other. Cheese, meat love each other.
Oh, yeah.
It all loves each other. It all will stack up beautiful. And the Cajun might bring a little bit more spice than people might be used to on a steak, but then all that fatty goodness in that blue cheese is really gonna bring it right back down, calm it right back down. So on this, I was once asked, what part of the steak do you season? You just season the parts you want to eat, so you season the whole thing. I mean, if you want to gnaw on the bone, you can season the bone a little bit too. That's fine. But we'll get this first one going for probably 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll throw this guy on just so they're gonna be finishing about the same time. And since we have the egg open, we're gonna spritz it with our apple cider vinegar down below. Help that bark start to form. Everything's gonna be going good. So get that going. We'll check on that in about 15 minutes when we throw that guy on. But look at those steaks real fast.
Those
are looking great.
Oh.
So pork belly's been going. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in one of these trays, and we're going to give it a nice little bath in some more, little some
Always
some
good.
honey, some brown sugar. This is really the part. Like, this is good. It's just like nice, smoked, juicy, delicious barbecue. This next step's really the step that takes it from just good barbecue. Look at that fat breaking down. That's great. From good barbecue to really just pork candy.
I mean, anytime you can take a bath in beer, it's good. So
Right?
I have to imagine it's good for the pork too.
Right. I mean, you guys do that pretty regularly here before you clean out the sinks, right? Just beer baths?
Yeah. It's a typical brewer thing when you know, maybe not on purpose, but forget to close a valve and get a nice little beer shower.
Brown sugar, don't really need to get exact with the measurements, but
What makes you feel good?
what makes you feel good? Because I mean, maybe you want a little less sugar, maybe you want a little more sugar. And then we're gonna do a little something, keep the flavor profiles even across the board. And this is really just gonna braise it. Any of that remaining fat that isn't perfectly broken down is gonna break down at this. Mix all those flavors up, get all those smells going together. But now we're just gonna, we're gonna give it some privacy during its bath braising time.
Yeah.
We're gonna let it just kind of like do its thing with the beer and the hops.
And how long are you gonna braise it for?
We're going a little bit hotter, probably for about an hour. At that point, when it's done braising, I'll pull it out, give it a little squeeze test. If it's feeling good at that point, the cook's pretty much done. We'll take it, we'll toss it in that sauce we're making over there. A cup of this, a full can of beer, about a 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, about a 1/2 cup of brown sugar to add some sweet to counteract that bitter. So it's a little hot, that's okay. So the whole beer. So we want to just give it a chance to kind of thicken up, reduce down. If you want to, you can add some honey. You can, if you wanted more spice, you can throw in some peppers in there. It's really whatever you want. You kind of keep it moving, especially at the beginning while everything's mixing up, because you don't want that sugar to be burning onto the pan. Our ribeyes are just finishing off here. We have about 123-ish on this big old boy.
All right.
The 2.5 pound guy there. So we're gonna let these rest real quick in here, but we're gonna sear them over yonder on the mini max. So
It's only about 1,000 degrees over here?
when the lid was down, the thermometer had pegged itself back around. We'll drop it on there and it'll sear, we'll flame up, it'll be beautiful. So yeah, once again, this has the espresso rub on it. It's gonna go with the chimichurri. Got the Cajun rub, gonna go with the blue cheese. So let's get to searing.
All right. I'm gonna get out of your way.
All right.
Step away from that 1,000-degree heat because
Just knocking off any burnt ash. Yeah. It's all the hot. So contrary to popular belief, this will not make the steak look like an ashtray. Take this and
how long are you gonna sear that for?
1 to 2 minutes per side.
Okay.
Even after we do a really, really hard sear, when we cut it open, it's gonna be perfect, wall-to-wall, beautiful, medium rare. It's a little hot on my hand, I'll be honest right now. This blue cheese we have here. Can you tell me a little bit about it, where it's from, what it is?
Point Reyes blue cheese. So just down the road from us, actually close to where the brewery started. A little bit of funkiness to it, which goes great with beer, IPA especially, because IPA's got that sweetness from the caramel that really plays off the funkiness of the blue cheese. And it's just gonna be a nice eating blue cheese.
We're finally at a part where we can eat.
Oh,
I'm ecstatic. So we're pairing this with the Lagunitas IPA.
let's get a piece. Oh, I'm in. Perfectly medium rare, tender. That
tender?
Cajun spice is just right. It's not overwhelming.
Yeah, with cuts this big, you can go a little heavier on the seasoning. You aren't gonna overpower anything in there.
Now we gotta try the beer with it. And so, IPA, it's known to be a bitter beer, right? And that plays super well with the creamy cheese.
So chimichurri, I'm going chimichurri now.
Okay. So a different experience and equally as good, but you've got a little bit of sweetness in that rub and then the coffee, but it's not a bitter coffee.
Not at all.
Guys, as the grounds just play, gives it, let's say, a touch of earthiness.
And whereas the blue cheese over here gives that whole, I don't want to say dense flavor, but more of a planted flavor. The chimichurri on the espresso rub
The brightness of that.
helped brightness it, lighten it up a lot.
I just got a chunk of shallot that had a bunch of lime and lemon in it, and it just brightens everything up. And the IPA being really, really orange forward from the hops, it plays great with that citrus and the
Absolutely.
chimichurri, and then that nice base of the rub.
Absolutely.
All right. Cheers.
Hey, don't be shy.
Look at those things.
So this texture where they're just little pillows, morsels of goodness, that's exactly what you're going for.
Right, and everybody should always feel their food, right?
A lot of barbecue is absolutely by feel. Like there's times, there's temps, but on these longer cooks, you're going off of what's breaking down that really, really thick connective tissue. So you can't just say, oh yeah, all pork will be done at 203, because you just don't know.
Yeah,
And
it's a mixture of time and temperature,
time,
right?
temperature,
so feel will
and
tell you.
absolutely feel. And I'm smelling that floral from that little something something,
man,
and
yeah.
it is
Smells great.
great. So this is gonna be really quick. We're gonna take this sauce.
You really are turning it into candy.
Absolutely. You're gonna mix it up, not something super thick. You could absolutely just take this right now and start gobbling it down. It might be a little hot, but that's not the end of the world. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna set it back on the egg, we're gonna put it on the top rack, we're gonna put it uncovered, and we're just gonna give it a chance to really kind of let that sauce tack up.
Okay.
And then we'll be absolutely golden, and we'll make the best pork candy burnt end tacos you've ever had. Close her up, and we'll see her in about 15, 20 minutes. All right, so taking these beautifully glazed up, tacked up pork barely burnt ends off, they're fantastic looking. So a couple minutes ago, we threw a couple tortillas on the fire, get them nice and warm. So my little trick to you guys is sometimes you kind of give them a little bit of smashed.
More meat to tortilla ratio.
Yeah, so we got all sorts of fun toppings today. Jicama mango slaw, kale microgreens, onions, red onions, quick pickled. Started pickling these I think yesterday. Little cilantro on top, pop, pop. And then one of my favorite hot sauces, it's not a super hot sauce, it's coconut sriracha, a little bit on top. And then we just roll these guys up and they're good to go.
First thing you get is that coconut sriracha.
Yeah.
And it just gets your palate ready for that slaw, and crisp cabbage and jicama, the mango, and then you hit that meat. It doesn't coat your tongue, so you get that freshness of, let's try the beer. Now a little bit of wheat in the beer, and then those tropical hops that just play with the toppings and the. That's how we got our logo. Is that dog on the side of the road in West Marin, just adopting Tony really, rather than the other way around.
It's normally how it works out, right?
Yeah.
That's a slightly more creepy mascot.
Pizza, take deuce.
Welcome back. You've changed, Brian.
I
changed.
understand that you're gonna roll one out for me.
I'm gonna roll one out for you.
I love hearing that.
We're making some fantastic pizzas today. So I'm gonna go the traditional American way of taking the rolling pin. So we are doing 12-ish inch pizzas today. So we're taking these, we're putting them on these nice little metal trays, knock a good amount of that flour off. Woohoo. That's about as fancy as I get when it comes to flipping pizza dough. And also, this is the traditional shape of someone who doesn't make a lot of pizza. It's kind of amoeba-ish.
It's artisanal.
Yeah, artisanal. So what these will really let you do is let you slide the pizza onto the stone, no problem. Take it off the stone, no problem. You start making your pizza. We got peanut saute, we got some chicken, we got some carrots, some onions, some jalapenos and cilantro and cheese and all sorts of other deliciousness to make some fantastic Thai-inspired pizzas, which will pair very nicely with these hazy wonder.
And we ran out of room. We could only list, in this little bit of real estate, we could only list Sabro, Citra, Cashmere, and Comet. But of course, it also has Simcoe, Mosaic, Centennial. I think there's some Chinook in there. It's all about hops. We couldn't even fit them all right there. And then those play well into the creaminess of the oats and goes well with the spice, that especially what you get from the peppers and the cilantro. Wow, you're good at this. I'm not supposed to use all the toppings, am I? Now, the cilantro we're gonna put on when it's done, right? Or are we gonna cook that on there?
You can do either way.
Okay.
If you put it on now, it might get a little brown.
A little burnt.
So we can actually take the cilantro,
Yeah.
take that Thai basil, chop that all up together and sprinkle that at the end. 450, this size, this dough, 12 minutes is what I want.
So 420. Why not 550?
That's just what that yeast likes.
That's what it wants.
Yes, I think.
Higher's always better.
Yes, higher's better?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Higher's better.
All right, let's see if I perfected my amateur status pour.
First off, pour with vigor for Chucky Bam Bam, my brewing professor. Ah, look at that.
I practiced.
So the reason that a beer like Hazy Wonder pairs so well with the spicy Thai and kind of certain ethnic dishes such as this is that you get kind of a creaminess in the beer, but you get all these like floral, citrus, like eucalyptus, lemongrass, pine, cedar, passion fruit, mangoes, lemons. A lot of the things that you've jammed into this extremely vibrant and colorful looking pie are actually playing out from the hops. When I food pair, I like to take a sip of the beer, and you smell it, and you taste with your nose, right? Then you take a bite of the food, and then take another sip. Make sure to get a modicum of foam trapped in your mustache.
Well, the foam there's so you can smell it as you eat, right? Okay.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. So for me, what's really getting is that basil is just fire. It's just coming off with like licorice and anise notes, and then the cilantro comes out, and then you get all of the more subtle, less volatile stuff like the peanut sauce and the onions.
So the mason jars I have at home have like 2 ounce, 4 ounce, 6 ounce.
Yep.
3.14 repeating, of course.
Yep.
You got 420 up there, or 4.20. And then you got a 10-6, or a really weird way of saying 1 2/3.
Right.
What's up the 1 2/3, 10/6?
So you obviously know that the first one is pi, the least lazy number ever, because it just keeps on running and running and running.
Right.
420, we all know that's not just a number, that's a lifestyle, but that is the approximate level of about 420 mils, so we're switching units here. 10-6, that's one that not everyone always gets. That is a reference to Alice in Wonderland. And that is the little sign on his hat. Yeah, we probably got all of that wrong. Like pi actually ends, 420 is just it's an interstate.
Cheers.
The heat's getting me now.
The heat's getting you?
Oh yeah.
The sriracha heat or the jalapeno heat?
I'm starting to sweat. I found the one jalapeno. I thought if you cook the jalapenos, their heat decreases.
I think it depends how you cook them, what you cook them in, what you cook them with. I know there's definitely ingredients you can use to hide heat.
Yeah.
Acid, juice, sugar. Fats, you can definitely hide heat that way.
Once when I was little, I found a turtle all alone in a grassy field and threw it in the car and drove it all the way to a pond and chucked it in there and said, "There you go, little buddy." I realized later that that was probably a turtle.
I've been told that all the fats and the stuff like that would
normally
There
dilute
could
the
be
spicy flavor.
a very small unannounced solar eclipse happening right now that I know about the eclipse. He can't know because no shares.
This is just not my luck today.
Gentlemen, proceed. Come on.
Yeah.
Touch bones.
Boom, boom. And now back over to you, Dave.
See you later.
All right, Tyler and Jeremy, that was cute, but you gotta wake up pretty early in the morning to beat me on ribeye. Speaking of cute, I know you guys have been admiring my shirt. To get this shirt and catch up on everything Eggtoberfest related, go to biggreenegg.com/Eggtoberfest to find out the shirt link and the schedule for the entire weekend. But don't go too far, guys. At the top of the hour, we're going up to Baltimore, Maryland with Stephen Reichland on the set of Project Fire. And after that, we're passing it over to Ed Fisher, looking back on 22 years of Eggtoberfest with the world premiere of The Wonderful World of Eggtoberfest. So don't go far. You do not want to miss what's coming up next.